Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we are going totally under the hood of the digital world. We're really getting into the nuts and bolts of e-commerce infrastructure, that invisible foundation that makes our modern, hyper-connected lives possible. We're going to trace it from the deep physical bedrock of the internet up to the web and all the way to the mobile platforms we carry in our pockets every single day. Let's get right into it.
Picture this, because it's a scenario we're all pretty familiar with. You're standing in your kitchen, right? And you just yell out, "Order more coffee beans." Fast forward a couple of days, and boom, a package arrives at your front door. How does that actually happen? What is the invisible, crazy complex tech stack that makes everyday actions like ordering via a smart speaker even possible? Well, today, we're going to demystify that entire layered process.
So here's our roadmap for today. 1. The internet's evolution. 2. Core network technologies. 3. Building the web. 4. Cloud and mobile disruption. And 5. Next-gen e-commerce tech.
All right, let's kick things off with part 1, the internet's evolution.
The internet didn't just appear out of thin air, you know. It actually grew up in 3 very distinct phases. First up, from 1961 to 1974, we had the innovation phase. This was all about creating those fundamental building blocks and early concepts. Then, from 1975 to 1995, we entered the institutionalization phase. This was absolutely crucial because large institutions, universities, and government agencies stepped in. They provided the heavy funding needed to legitimize and really scale the network. Finally, from 1995 to today, we hit the commercialization phase. Private corporations completely took the wheel here, expanding the internet into the absolute beast of a commercial infrastructure we rely on right now.
Now, before we go any further, we have to clear up a massive common misconception. People use these terms interchangeably all the time, but they are vastly different. The internet, that's the physical foundation. It's an interconnected network of thousands of networks and millions of computers. It is literally the plumbing. The World Wide Web, on the other hand, is just one of the internet's most popular services. It sits on top of the internet, giving us access to billions of web pages. Think of the internet as the physical highway system, and the web? The web is just the delivery trucks driving on it.
Moving right along to part 2, core network technologies. Okay, so how do computers actually talk to each other across the globe without just losing all our information? They pull this off through a genius concept called packet switching and a protocol known as TCP/IP. This operates through 4 distinct layers: the network interface layer, the internet layer, the transport layer, and the application layer. So imagine you're sending a massive, high-res photo to a friend. These layers actually chop that image up into tiny, manageable data packets, route them safely across the crazy maze of the internet, and then flawlessly reassemble them at the receiving end. It's like a giant puzzle assembling itself. But here's the thing. All those computers need addresses, so the packets know exactly where to go. Underneath it all, the internet relies on numeric IP addresses. But let's be real, you are not going to memorize something like 201.61.186.227 every single time you want to shop online. Enter the domain name system, or DNS. DNS takes those incredibly complex numeric IP addresses and lets us use natural language instead. It's basically the internet's natural language phone book. You type in a domain name, and DNS just quietly translates it into the numeric IP address behind the scenes. Super smooth. Shifting our focus upwards a bit, let's jump into part 3, building the web. We need to make a really important distinction here between presentation and data structure. HTML, or hypertext markup language, uses a fixed set of predefined tags. It fundamentally controls the look and feel of web pages, the formatting, the fonts, the cool images. But XML, or extensible markup language, serves a totally different purpose. It uses user-defined tags, specifically designed to describe the actual data and information. So, simply put, HTML dictates how things look to you, while XML dictates what the data actually means to the computers. And to actually see any of this, we need a web client, specifically a web browser. Look at these desktop market numbers. It is wild. Google Chrome holds roughly 60% of the market. Way behind that, you've got Internet Explorer at 12%, Firefox at 11%, and Apple Safari at 4%. What you should really take away from this is how Chrome's massive footprint gives a single company incredible influence over how we experience the web globally. And that dominance actually extends heavily into the mobile market as well. Which brings us perfectly to part 4, cloud and mobile disruption.
A huge, and I mean huge, catalyst for modern e-commerce is cloud computing. It lets companies grab computing power and software directly over the internet. You basically have 3 flavors: infrastructure as a service, software as a service, and platform as a service. Why is this such a game changer? Because it absolutely slashed the cost of doing business. Startups today don't have to go out and buy expensive physical servers or build massive IT infrastructure. They literally just rent exactly what they need in the cloud, scaling up or down on demand.
And we absolutely cannot talk about modern disruption without looking at the staggering scale of the mobile platform. I mean, the numbers here are just mind-blowing. We're talking over 160 million US users on tablets and over 230 million on smartphones. And listen, this isn't just about shrinking a computer screen to fit in your hand. This whole ecosystem relies on highly disruptive new processors, super powerful mobile operating systems, and massive app marketplaces like Google Play and the Apple App Store. Those marketplaces have fundamentally rewired how consumers discover and interact with brands today.
Finally, let's wrap up with part 5, next-gen e-commerce tech. Two of the absolute hottest developments right now are VR and AR, and it's super important we clearly distinguish between them. Virtual reality, or VR, is completely immersive. You strap on a head-mounted display and boom, you are plunged entirely into a closed-off virtual world. Augmented reality, or AR, on the other hand, overlays virtual objects onto the real world, usually just by using the smartphone camera you already own. Both are unlocking completely different avenues for e-commerce, from exploring fully virtual car showrooms to digitally trying on clothes right in your living room.
And this brings us full circle, right back to our opening scenario: intelligent digital assistants. We're talking about proprietary AI tools like Apple's Siri and Google Assistant. They rely on natural language, conversational interfaces, and, this is the secret sauce, deep situational awareness. Because they actually understand the context of your daily life, they can seamlessly handle really complex e-commerce tasks. You just speak naturally to your smart speaker, and it figures out how to book the flight, schedule the appointment, or order those coffee beans we talked about earlier. Which leaves us with this final, super provocative question straight from our source material. Will these voice-controlled digital assistants fundamentally revolutionize e-commerce? I mean, think about the incredible benefits for a second. Hands-free convenience, extreme personalization, blinding speed. But weigh that against the downsides. These assistants are completely proprietary. That means massive tech companies are acting as the ultimate gatekeepers, deciding exactly what products get suggested to you. Are the conveniences of this conversational AI really worth the massive power it consolidates? It's a fascinating question and definitely one you'll want to keep thinking about. All right, thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you on the next one.